Thanks for watching our presentation on using your degree to get a job. My name is Dean Kirkpatrick, and this presentation was created in collaboration with my group, which includes Philip Gohl, Jillian Gooding, Shayla McCaffery, Mikaela Pinger, and Brian Smith. Now for today's agenda, we're going to focus mostly on how you can leverage your experience with an ITAM degree to get a job, but it's also applicable for other Central students that might be considering looking for jobs or for internships. That being said, we will start off with some specific information about the ITAM master's degree, where ITAM students end up, and then we'll move on to some more general resources that can be used for all Central students. About looking for jobs as an international student, and also looking for jobs abroad. If you want to skip ahead to any certain points of the presentation, you can do so by clicking through on the table listed just below this video. So a little bit of background information on the ITAM degree at a master's level. I'm not going to go into too much detail, again, because this is mostly aimed at current ITAM students, but I do want to give a little bit of background. We all focus on the same core classes in administrative management, and then we can choose to focus on something from the three options: administrative management, cybersecurity, or information technology. You can use the degree in a lot of different ways because it's broad content, and mostly for looking for entry-level or mid-level management positions. The degree teaches us some basic soft skills and conceptual skills used in leadership and management, as well as a basic foundation of information technology, which is used within all businesses. We've listed some of the core classes here and some of the transferable skills that you get from these classes. So it's always good to think about the skills you're developing from the classes and how you can use those in the career search. If you're changing careers or looking to get into a position that is directly relevant to a class or multiple classes that you have taken, we highly encourage you to think about the transferable skills that you're gaining. You can use these in places like during your elevator pitch with a potential employer, during an interview, or on your resume or your LinkedIn. We recommend including an academic project section to your resume. For example, if you want to become a project manager, you could list specifically information about the global project management class, what you did on your project, and some of the skills that you gained, such as using Microsoft Project, Excel, Gantt charts, and creating network diagrams, familiarity with different methodologies like Agile and Waterfall, and so on. Again, we've put together some of the transferable skills you get from the core classes here, but it's a good idea for you to be thinking about this as well, and maybe jotting these down as you go through your classes each quarter. I know we're students, we all have a lot on our plate, so it can be easy to forget or get different classes mixed up. But if you go through this as you're going through the classes, it can help you remember and also strengthen your resume. So some general tips to think about while you're a student here is make the most out of the classes that you're interested in. Again, with the project management example, if that's a career or a field that you're very interested in, volunteer to work as the project manager. That's what Philip did for our group, and I think it's a great resume booster, and it also shows that he has some related experience and something to really talk about if he wanted to have that conversation with an employer. Continue to work on projects after the class is over. 10 weeks is generally a pretty short time to complete a good project. Let's say you're creating a website, for example. Consider making some final additions or some changes to it so that you can use it and showcase it as a great example of what you've done, and it will look a little bit more polished when you're talking to employers about it. Make connections with people while you're still a student. So this could be professors, it could be staff, other students, and employers. These can be invaluable in establishing your network, which might open up more job opportunities, as well as using them as potential references. So we were really curious where ITAM grads end up. So we've compiled a variety of different resources, what we found here, and some potential job titles for ITAM grads. And we also worked with the ITAM department to ask them if they could share their survey results with us. Now, there's only been 1 year so far in the program of collected survey information because the program started up last year. So they were able to share some of that information with us here. And we found it pretty interesting that over half of people that were in the program used their degree to completely change careers, as well as a pretty large percentage that was using this degree for the opportunity to get promotion within your current organization or with your current employer. Now, we weren't able to get the salary information. Unfortunately, they couldn't share that with us, but we did want to look up some other salary for master's students in general. So this graphic here shows the average salary ranging from the year 2000 to 2013 for those with master's degrees, bachelor's degrees, associates, and below. As you can see, the most recent date with 2013, the average salary for a master's student was $60,000, which is just about $10,000 above the next level of having a bachelor's degree. We do highly recommend using some other resources such as Glassdoor, PayScale, Salary.com if you're looking at a specific industry or a specific job type. These resources can give you some very specific information about what people have made at certain companies or what people make in certain areas, such as if you're looking at Seattle, if you're looking at the Bay Area. PayScale can even create a very customized report for you where you enter the amount of work experience you have, what degrees you have, so on and so forth. They tell you kind of what you should be expected to get paid. Now I want to move on to some general resources that are offered to all Central students. And career services is a big one that's probably underutilized. They have a number of different things they offer. So the Wildcat Career Network is an online internship and job board. And there's tons of postings on there. There's currently just about 600 active job postings. They host a variety of different events and workshops that can get you prepared for a number of different things. We've listed some of them here. They offer drop-in resume help, variety of career fairs, and one-on-one appointments that can be used for pretty much anything career-related. So people often come in and ask for questions on their resumes or their cover letters, how to prepare for an interview, or just how they could better utilize resources to job search. A couple of other resources that we thought were notable included the Alumni Association. They also put together events. This could be a great way for you to connect with alumni and, again, broaden your networks. And they're also working on a current database where they would have information about their alumni, where they're working, if they would be open to contact, which could be a great way for you to learn about different industries as well as, again, establish those networks and connections. The Office of International Studies and Programs offers a variety of different things. When we're looking at opportunities abroad, that's kind of the go-to place, as well as providing services for international students. I'll talk about this a little bit more in a couple slides. So exploring careers, some tips that we have is actually go to the events that the Career Services puts on. There are two fairs that are quite relevant to our degree coming up. The Information Technology Internship and Job Fair at the end of March, and the All Central-wide Spring Career Internship and Graduate School Fair at the end of April. I had previously mentioned this, but use the Wildcat Career Network to apply to jobs, and then use LinkedIn to reach out to Central alumni. And I'm going to go ahead and show a demonstration of how LinkedIn can actually be used to increase your connections and also to do research on where people might end up. Okay, so I just clicked on that link, but if you were just to log in from your home page, it would look like this. You'd hover over My Network, find Alumni. We'll let this start populating here in a second. Let's refresh it. Okay, there we go. So you can see it has all the current students as well as people that said that they have gone to Central, where they're currently working, where they live, what they do, and some other information about them. Since we were talking about where ITAM graduates end up, let's see what we can find. Unfortunately, IT and Administrative Management isn't an option that LinkedIn recognizes as selectable, but there is a very similar option. Information Technology Administration and Management. So we'll click on that, as I'm sure some students that have gone through our program have selected that as their education from the drop-down menu. And now you can see all the employers that have hired people with this degree, or at least a similar degree, where they work, what they do. Now let's say I'm a student that I'm really interested in working at Boeing, which looks to be the top employer. I can select this, and now it's going to sort to just 8 results of the people that have selected this degree working at Boeing coming from Central. And I can scroll down and I can see a little bit of information about each person. Let's say I wanted to reach out to Lexi. I can click on her profile and it will give me just kind of a snapshot. It actually won't tell her that I clicked on her profile. If you're familiar with LinkedIn, you know that if you view someone's profile, it tells them that you viewed it. But from this view, it won't. And it gives you a little bit of info. You can see that she graduated last year with an ITAM degree, where she's worked, and that she's currently at Boeing. I can use this both as a research tool just to see the job types that people have and how they move up through companies, or you can use it as a networking tool. So if I wanted to maybe set up a coffee or an informational interview with Lexi, I could connect with her and send her a quick message asking if she would be open to networking so I can learn about how she used her degree to get to Boeing, any kind of connections she had, and her recommendations. Okay, so that's one of my favorite tools to use on LinkedIn. I think it can be really powerful to just find more information about where people are working and for networking. Looking for jobs as an international student, it can be a bit more challenging navigating a career search as an international student due to a number of different factors. There's cultural differences, there's the ability for an employer to petition or sponsor your visa, sometimes there's language barriers, and even more. So put together some general tips here. Start networking and using career services as early as possible. The job search is quite a bit different than in most other countries. So for example, in some countries, culturally, it might feel boastful for you to talk about your accomplishments during an interview, whereas in the United States, it's necessary. We're a very individualistic culture, and that's what we actually expect to see out of someone interviewing. Another difference, resumes. Don't list anything personal on your resume. And I know in some other cultures this can be more common, but in the United States, you don't want to list a picture, your height and weight, your gender, or your birthday. There's a number of other differences too, and that's why we're recommending to go to and utilize career services to learn just a little bit more about that. You should also be an expert on visa needs. Many employers surprisingly don't know if they can hire international students. Know the process to petition student visas and what's important from an employer's perspective. I'd recommend connecting with OSIP to ask them information about this to make sure you know everything. We've included a little bit up here, particularly for CPT and OPT student visas. For CPT, your internship needs to be directly related to your degree. There's no cost to the employer. You do need to have the internship offer before you start the approval process. For OPT, again, your job does need to directly relate to your degree. There's also no cost to the employer, but you don't need an offer before starting the process to get approved. You can be an OPT for up to a year with a potential 17-month extension if you have a STEM degree, although that 17-month extension is still currently up for debate in Congress. It hasn't quite been filled out yet. And some other general tips for international students. Consider working back home after graduation. There are, again, a number of factors that makes it more difficult for an international student to gain employment here compared to a domestic student. If you do work here for a year on OPT, that experience still can look very valuable on your resume for when you're coming back home and you're sharing that with an employer. Some other resources international students can use. Career services, of course, they'll offer all the same programming to international students, but they also have specialized programming. Once a year, they'll have a specific workshop, and usually offered in January, targeting international students. They also offer a class in career management, and they actually hold off positions and openings just for international students. Go over things like professionalism, job search, resumes, networking. Now, it won't count towards your ITAM degree, but if you can work it out, it can definitely be a valuable class when thinking about your career search and how you might be applying your education to your future career. Applying to jobs, I've mentioned it a number of times, but Wildcat Career Network. You can also go to myvisajobs.com. Myvisajobs.com is a pretty cool resource. It will list the top H-1B employers by state, by job title, and by industry. Typical job titles for international candidates, salary information, and even more. So looking for jobs abroad, the OSIP, the Office of International Studies and Programs, has a partnership with IE3, which helps place students in different internships around the world. A lot of students also don't think about using their family or friends' connections. They oftentimes know people that are located in the countries they want to work, but they might feel hesitant to ask them. I would suggest using those resources first. It's your network that's generally going to get you a job, so if you can use those, it's going to be more strong than just applying online or looking at LinkedIn or something like that. Set alarms on job sites. Wildcat Career Network, you can actually save a search and have it send you an email every time something pops up. So if you marked off a location, let's say you were looking for a job in Europe and you selected a couple different countries, it can send you an email every time one of those gets listed. Or if you set a keyword such as Australia, every time a job posting said anything about Australia, it could get sent to you. Use LinkedIn to check out employers or alumni, just like what I had showed a bit ago of using LinkedIn to look at alumni profiles. You can sort it by location, so you can see different countries people are working in. And then, of course, look directly at company job boards that have locations internationally or that might be based out of other countries. Thank you again for watching our brief presentation on using your degree to get a job. We wanted to send some thank yous to Professor Fen Wang, Kyoko Cleveland, Dr. Laura Portolese, apologies if I'm mispronouncing that, and Bruce Simpson.